let's talk a little bit about Israel, as we just talked about, and where some of this money may be going and who's going to be funding and what exactly they're going to do about it. So here we have Benjamin Netanyahu, who is speaking about the striking Iran in retaliation. We can go ahead and play it, and I'm going to read. They say they also have some objections. I appreciate it, but I want to clarify. He says that we will make our own decisions. He's talking here about the United States. He says the state of Israel will do everything necessary to defend itself today. The cabinet will approve a plan to rebuild the settlements of the Gaza Strip. We will invest a very large sum of shekels to make the settlements of Gaza available to generations. We will invest in housing, infrastructure, education, and employment. So he's talking there about two things. He's talking about striking Iran, the state of Israel. We will do whatever we want to do. And he's also talking about using money, U.S. money, presumably, right? Some of these shekels, where do you think exactly they're coming from? Shekel, by the way, is the currency of the state of Israel, in case people didn't know that. Using that to build settlements in the Gaza Strip in complete contravention of U.S. policy. And we will get to some of the changes in U.S. policy and all of that in a little bit. But this comes as the entire world, the Western world, is trying to descend upon Israel, begging them, please, please, don't get us into a war with Iran. And yet they continue to walk away, being told straight to the face of their own benefactors that they are going to do it anyway. Let's put this up there on the screen. This is from the Times of Israel. You could take it. You've got, after meeting with President Herzog of Israel, David Cameron, the UK foreign minister, says, quote, "It is now clear that Israel will respond to the Iran attack." The British foreign minister, quote, "hopes retaliation will not further escalating tensions, calls for the G7 to sanction Iran." And the visiting German foreign minister also says all parties must act prudently and responsibility. So you have Tony Blinken, who is pressuring them, President Biden. Here you've got the freaking British foreign minister, a huge supporter of the state of Israel. You've got the German foreign minister, all of these people descending there. Apparently, Prime Minister Netanyahu even put a call off for several hours with the Prime Minister of the UK, where the Prime Minister was like, hey man, like maybe just keep us out of this one, because it would just be easier for all of us if we didn't have to shoot down missiles for you. And yet, that's not what, this is a government acting in complete impunity. We've seen this many, many times, but again, let's just play it for the whole world, for all of us, since we're the ones who are funding this.
And here's the thing. Things were getting a little tough for Netanyahu. There was a little bit of scrutiny about what was going on in Gaza. The Americans were getting increasingly uncomfortable. It was becoming increasingly untenable. How much has the horrific annihilation and humanitarian disaster, the famine in northern Gaza, how much has that fallen out of the news as everybody starts beating the war drums and getting all hyped up about this conflict with Iran? There were these reports, Saagar, I don't know if you buy these or not, because it was from a not totally certain news source, that the U.S. back-channeled Iran and was like, how about you let Israel do a little bit of a retaliatory attack and just let it be? Can you imagine if we were directly attacked? Can you imagine if our embassy was attacked, how we would respond? Yesterday, Emily and I played this exchange with Matt Miller. I don't know if you saw it. Matt Lee pressing him on, all right, because their dodge is, well, we don't know if it was really a consulate building that Israel hit. We're investigating. We haven't really figured that out yet. That's their dodge to avoid condemning Israel for starting this whole terrifying chain of escalation that risks dragging us directly into conflict with Iran, even though I genuinely think that the Biden administration actually wants to avoid this direct conflict, but they haven't done a single thing to try to forestall that eventuality. So yeah, Bibi and Israel, they act like, toddlers who haven't been disciplined, who know they can get away with whatever the hell they want to get away with, because they always do. Because we'll do things like, pretend we're having an investigation into whether or not they really hit an embassy. Trust me, if they didn't hit an embassy or consulate building, we would have said it right away. The fact that we're out here pretending like we've got to do some months-long investigation to figure that out tells you everything you need to know about what actually unfolded here. But we will deny reality, we will lie, we will cover up, and we will continue moving heaven and earth to ship them their bombs to continue doing whatever the hell they want to do. Our interest and the safety of our service members and our people be damned.
Yeah, this is America last at its finest. Let's put this up there on the screen. I want to reiterate again how many world leaders are, quote, urging restraint. You, again, have the war cabinet and the far right who are all saying that we need to have swift action, but then you have basically every leader of a G7 nation who is urging restraint, who is even rhetorically backing up Israel, but is reaching out and urging caution and not to have retaliation. It is just virtual certainty. This is going to lead for some sort of tit-for-tat escalation. The United States will be involved. We already know that because we already were involved. We shot down the majority of the missiles. If there is more of an escalation, then we'll be even more involved in shooting that down.
And Bibi has wanted this for so long, decades.
Has urged us to do this for years. Yesterday on the Zero Hedge debate, we played a clip of him advocating for the overthrow of the Iranian regime in 2002 before Congress. This is on tape. It's literally right there, out in the open. He has urged every president from George W. Bush onward to overthrow the Iranian regime and to bomb Iran. He tried to get Trump to do it. He tried to get Obama to do it. There's a whole interesting Atlantic series. You guys can go read it if you want. Jeffrey Goldberg sat there and let Bibi spout his BS about why America should go to war. He came to our soil. He against our own president of the United States and spoke against the Iran deal. He tried to get George W. Bush, as I said, multiple times after Iraq, and he had many supporters in the cabinet. The only thing that saved us from going to war with Iran is that the Iraq war was such a disaster. Because if it had gone even remotely well, then he could have convinced Condoleezza Rice and all these other idiots to do that as well.
Absolutely.
So let's just keep in mind exactly who we're dealing with. He says all of these things out in the open. He feels totally comfortable.
Yeah.
Any last things before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, even though it's utterly psychotic, like I genuinely can't wrap my head around the psychopathy that it requires to just like casually flirt with this gigantic war. You can see why he did it, because now the frame of conversation isn't, oh my God, here's a baby who you're starving to death in Gaza. Now the frame of conversation is freaking Mike Johnson out there talking about the axis of evil. That's much stronger ground for Bibi Netanyahu with the political class here, certainly with the Democrats who are in power here. And, you know, frankly, it's just a much better conversation for him to take the focus off the suffering of Palestinians at their hands and at our hands. That completely shifts the frame in a way that is much more favorable for him. And also, by the way, you know, it's not an accident that this is right at the moment when there was a Haaretz op-ed saying, listen, we got to face it. This has been a disaster. We have lost on every reasonable metric of success in Gaza. So he also has to shift the frame domestically to some other victory that he can chase after. So the logic of it is sick, but you can see exactly how he made this calculation and decided to thrust all of us into this incredible chaos.
Well said.
Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.